Hello, sillies! Welcome back. So, one thing that I've decided that I want to talk about is companies that shoot themselves in the foot and just how that's such a phenomenon. We'll open the door with Monster Energy donating towards the campaign and re-election of a certain orange fella. See, I don't really care who you align with, but what you have to understand towards this is a large majority of the people who like the mango, Monster White, the pink flavors are of queer folk and alternative individuals, which is a large chunk of the Monster consumer base. Not the primary, but a large chunk of it. And now that this is going around, there's a lot of people who are moving to boycott Monster. Well, I say a lot, but there's a bunch of people in my personal circle that are starting to boycott it. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, if you're a drink company, why get involved in something like that? Why not just stand back, especially when your consumer base is fruity folk? Another company that I wanted to touch upon is Bungie with stealing art for Marathon, which I've talked about. I was hyped for Marathon. I was gonna play Marathon. I still probably will, but I'm not gonna be as excited for it because not only did they get caught stealing art from artists three times for Destiny. This is now the fourth time, and then this time it's for Marathon. And I don't understand why they do this, because now they could at least AI generate the art. Not that I'm for that, I think that's horrible. But if you're going to steal art, you may as well AI generate it, because that's still stealing, but at that point you'll get less people on your ass. The Marathon was already in hot water because people didn't like that it was an extraction shooter when people are burnt out of extraction shooters. There's a million in the market. And there's going to be a couple more introduced soon, and yet it doesn't offer anything super unique. Like, it is unique in its art style, its storytelling, but not in its, like, concept. You know, like, the gameplay core is still you go in, you loot things, and then you try and get out, which is a core of a lot of the extraction shooters. And people aren't super excited for that anymore. And now that people are finding out that it was stolen, there's more people that are moving to not want to play the game. And they kind of just did themselves dirty there. Like, they just couldn't resist putting their hand in the cookie jar. They could have just hired the person who made the art or reached out to them, but they didn't. Not even an email. How lazy can you be as a multi-billion-dollar company? But that's just the state of things, and that's hence why this video is right here for you to consume. Another big company that everyone, I'm sure, has heard about through and through is Duolingo. Duolingo had a perfect setup. They had somebody on the marketing team that understood how to market to millennials and Gen Z and, like, people of the younger demographic who actually are going to be using those language apps primarily. And then they turned around and decided to say AI first, which means they're not going to be paying contractors. They're probably going to be laying off people to save money. And that is nuts. You could get away with it for, like, older people, but millennials and Gen Z are the two most anti-AI generations to exist. And by saying that you're going to put AI first, you may as well just take your company, your product, and take it out back and then just execute it. Because there is no reason to go against the people who are your main consumer. It's the same thing I said with Monster, and same thing I said with Marathon. You cannot use something that people are actively against if they are a part of your community. If you have a bunch of people and they go, I like blue, and your app is blue, and we're going to continue using it because we like that your logo, whatever you represent, is blue. And then one day, after you have millions and millions of subscribers because you want extra money and you think, oh, we're so popular, we're too big to fail, it changes to pink, and then everyone is like, we don't like this, change it back, and you just say,
no.
How can you not expect failure? How can there be people, actual thinking human beings, sat in offices having conversations about how they're going to make money, and the thing that they come up with to milk more money out of consumers is to go against what the consumers actually want? Like, another example that I'll bring up is Starbucks. You cannot go to a Starbucks and just hang out there if you're not paying for anything. And that is a part of one of their new policies. And that, however you want to look at that, that's not horrible. But most people who are in Starbucks, and if it is a space that you can go that is away from home. Maybe you have a parent who you can't stand, or a roommate. You want to go out and you just want to do your work. Well, if you are at that coffee shop often, even if the first few times you don't get something, you're eventually going to start buying from there if you're frequent enough. But that new rule chases those people off, and they're just going to stay at home, or they're going to find another space where they can just exist in peace without having to worry about being told to leave because they haven't bought anything. I understand that it's for to want to chase off homeless people. I've worked fast food, and I have had to deal with many customers that are unpleasant. And I will say, the most unpleasant customers I've had to deal with have not been homeless. A lot of them have been people who work jobs and decided that they want to take their frustration of their life out on me or my coworkers. It's not something you should be doing, because we did have a lot of people. I'm not going to say what city or where, but there's a large chunk of poverty and homelessness in the area that I worked in and lived in. And that was just something I had to deal with. Like, lots of homeless people come in and out, and they'd often ask to use the bathroom, or if we could spare any food. And sometimes, yeah, we would give them like spare food that, like, a customer we made their order wrong, or they didn't feel like paying for, or whatever reason that people left food behind, and it's just sitting there. Or when people canceled like their delivery, then sure, we'd give them like some of that, and then we just split it up and then have like little ready sacks for like people in need. Making a rule to chase off homeless people isn't going to make your shop more successful. It's going to chase off the people who are actually going there to consume the product. If a homeless person comes in, uses the bathroom, or they stay there to get out of like the street or whatever, they're not hurting anyone. Most of the time. I can't speak for every single time, but most people who are like just there to sit and want to have peace, they're going to do that. Problem people are going to cause problems no matter what you do. You can put as many restrictions, you can tell them no. That's why like laws exist, and people will still go out of their way to be a nuisance. Like if you watch police body cams, people will claim that they know the law and all these other things, even though they're wrong and their law is solid and they are breaking it. So putting little rules on isn't it's just going to chase off the people who are potential new customers. You can't have new customers by closing your doors. That's just how it works. That's why like Costco and other superstores and stuff like that have free samples, because they want you to try your product for Costco wants you to try the product. You try the product, and if you like it, you'll buy that. But if they didn't have that, because they were afraid that homeless people were just going to come in and eat all of the samples and leave, then people wouldn't try those products, and they would just buy what they're comfortable with, and there would be no room for anything new to thrive. So I'm just kind of venting my frustrations into the void. I know that my YouTube channel is never gonna get big or whatever. I just like putting this out there because I like to watch these, because it's venting my feelings kind of into the void, and I get to put like goofy little edits on it. And right now I'm kind of just like baffled at how stupid companies are being. Like, these people are sitting in seats making tons of money, being paid to come up with ideas to make their company make more money, and they lean away from the thing that's making the money every single time. It's just like Respawn and EA canceling Titanfall. That is, Titanfall 1 may not have been a smash hit. Titanfall 2 might not have been a smash hit, but not only was there massive pushes for people for Titanfall 3 through Apex, or like giant days where people would go, let's go play Titanfall 2. Let's show them we care. We still love it. Not only that, but people who would, there was those hacks on Apex where it'd say like save Titanfall and be like a link yada to whatever. That should have been the biggest sign of what the people wanted, and Respawn is now presumably being told that they're not allowed to make Titanfall 3. And I don't like, see what I mean? Like this has to be like something that if somebody does stumble upon this video and you find it like thought-provoking, I want you to comment, because I need to understand. I don't understand. If you have a consumer base and they want a thing and you refuse to give it to them, and then you start making less money, and then your solution is to either fire people or cancel the projects that they want, issue with the people that are in charge. Like, were they not qualified? Did they get nepotism in, and now they're all just like pretending to know what they're doing? I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you for listening to this random rant, if you did, and Sugi out.